Thank you, and a big hello from London. Well, last week provided two distinct camps or groupings in what we saw as weekly technical patterns. There was only one outlier actually on that, which was a commodity, but the two distinct camps could easily be identified as the currencies and the stock markets. In the currencies, we had weekly key reversals down in the US dollar index, US dollar against the Indian rupee, US dollar against the Romanian lei, US dollar against the Danish krona, US dollar against the Chilean peso, and the US dollar against the Hungarian font. At the same time, and continuing the negative US dollar theme, we had weekly key reversals up in Australian dollar against the US dollar, the Kiwi dollar, the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar, interestingly the euro against the US dollar, and also sterling against the US dollar, aka cable. If we take a look at the US dollar index as a proxy for all of these, we have seen since last Friday a small tentative move lower, which today has seen a massive countering move higher, such that we're actually on the verge of an immediate countering weekly key reversal up for the dollar for this week. Very interesting, so keep your eye on this. Now, these were not the only currency pairs I observed, as I also saw a weekly key reversal up in the US dollar Philippine peso, which contras the main moves for a weaker dollar elsewhere. We have seen attempts here since last Friday at a higher US dollar. Plus, we had some in the crosses, with weekly key reversals up in euro against the Japanese yen, sterling against the Japanese yen, and Aussie dollar against the Japanese yen, if only just on this last one. All these three have seen suitable follow-on higher moves to last week's action during this week. Okay, so let's now look at the second category, the stock indexes and stock index futures. Here we had weekly key reversals down in the German DAX futures, UK FTSE futures, the Nasdaq Composite Index, the E-mini S&P futures, and the Flex Semiconductor Index. The resultant moves this week have been mixed. Some have seen a follow-on lower, or at least an attempted follow-on lower, such as the German DAX index, the futures there, and also E-mini S&P futures to a certain degree, whilst others have not moved higher instead, such as the UK FTSE futures, and others have been somewhat in between. This only leaves the outlier, the single commodity that had a weekly key reversal up last week, and that is NYMEX heating oil futures. Here we have seen no element of a follow-on higher, but the almost exact opposite, a move lower from the opening. The only supportive thing I can think of saying here is that at least this week's action is still within last week's action so far. Additionally, no other part of the crack spread, not RBOB or WTI, has supported this idea. As always, I'm happy to answer any direct questions or anyone who's interested. With that, I'll finish this section from London, and I hope you found these comments useful. Thank you for listening. This weekly broadcast gives the essential market patterns and consequences. Please be aware of the risk disclaimer posted both at the front and at the back of this broadcast. Copyright is Eddie Tofpick and ADM Investor Service International Limited. And here comes the final important bit.